How's that? That better? Can you guys hear me now? Not sure how I got muted. Can you hear me? Yeah, all right, cool. Thank you for letting me know I was muted. I had no idea. But yeah, so I had someone, so sorry you guys missed everything I said earlier. Apologize for that. So I had a plan to make a whole bunch of stuff. I had to change my plans because someone showed up on my shop and bought about a third of all of my natural wood stakes. So I had to make some more natural wood stakes, and I had a concept for some of these. I wanted to do some cross wood burning on these for the vampire stakes, and so I was just finishing that up when I get started before I start tongue oiling and staining everything. And I have these hickory stakes. So I found out recently, this is something you guys missed that I was saying, that I've got several people that are buying these. They're distressing them and staining them and reselling them as antique stakes. These are not antiques, you guys. If you see a stake like this, I'm the only one who makes these. I've never seen another shop that makes these. But if you see these online selling as antique vampire stakes, these are not antiques. I've made these in the last 3 years. My shop's only been around for 3 years. They're not antiques. All they did was distress them and stain them, and then charge a ridiculous amount of money for them. So I'm going to beat them at their own game. I am going to distress and stain these. I'm going to give them a jute wrap cord on the handle tomorrow, and I'm going to sell them at about half the price of what they're selling them for. So there you go. Yeah, I know. I have to say that all again. So sorry. So anyway, I'm going to take my pocket knife here, and I'm going to score these up a little bit so that when I stain them, you'll be able to see the cuts. These are just the usual hickory stakes that I make in my shop. I have tons of these that are already on sale. I usually sand these up to 1,000 grit and tongue oil them, but I'm not going to tongue oil them this time. I'm going to stain them, and since I'm distressing them, I figured I'm not going to sand them up to 1,000 grit, but they're sanded up pretty high. There we go. I need to put an orange safety ball on these. That's funny. I mean, they're not safe. They're vampire stakes. They're not safe. Nothing I sell for the most part is safe except for my cosplay items and my cosplay stuff and my con safe items. Those are all safe. Anything else, all bets are off. Not safe at all. Hey, welcome everybody to Saturday Staining. This is Warrior Wooden Props. Got some new stakes going to be. This one I'm not going to tongue oil. This one's just going to stay natural because it's this bark design. I think it looks better just as it is, but I'll give a little handle wrap tomorrow, and that'll be good to go. All right, give me a second, guys. And let me move some things here, and we'll start staining up some stuff. Just gotta move this wood burner out of the way because it's still pretty hot and I don't want it to mess up anything. Be right back. Just gonna set it around out of the way. But if you have any questions while I am doing this, feel free to drop those in the chat. All right, tongue oil. shop towels. And go get my gloves and my catch-all. Be right back. Oh. All right, so I got some steaks. So these are gonna get, and I've also got a Padauk steak that I'm going to be tongue oiling, and I made a nice big Yawara. This one's about a 10-incher. It's gonna get tongue oil. We got another double-ended steak. It's gonna get tongue oiled, and that'll get handle wrapped tomorrow. I've got a Viking waster we're gonna tongue oil, and I've got a European beach boken that we're going to tongue oil up. A lot of stuff to tongue oil today. All right. But if you got any questions while I'm doing this, feel free to drop them in the chat. Help me be a little less bored today while I'm doing the finishing touches on all this stuff. And then once I get the tongue oil stuff out of the way, we'll move over to the staining. I've got 3 different steaks that we're gonna tongue oil up today. But sorry about the muting at the beginning there. Appreciate you guys letting me know. I'm not sure how that button got pressed. Blame it on my ADD, baby. All right, I'll probably do the Padauk last because Padauk, this wood is the orangest wood ever. Every time I work with this stuff, it looks like my work area looks like I just murdered a bag of Cheetos because it is orange. It's not dyed orange. The wood itself is orange. Cool fact about Padauk, by the way, is that as it gets older, it turns from this kind of orange color to like almost like a purplish red color. It gets deeper and darker over time in color. So when you buy Padauk, it's kind of fun because over the year or two of owning it, you get to watch it kind of turn into a darker color. All right, let's get started. Probably go ahead and do the big stuff first. Get that out of the way. These are this is an Aikido style bokken. It's straight. It's about 35 inches in length. It's made out of it's made out of pressure treated European beech, which is strong as all get out. And as with all the bokken and wasters that in practice weapons I make in my shop, these are guaranteed that if they break when they are not supposed to break, I will replace them at no charge. If you're sparring with them and it snaps, it will be replaced within at least a year or two of you owning it, obviously. Like, any bokken's going to break eventually, but these take a very, very long time to break. The only time I've ever seen these break, I actually went to a Buhurt Armored Combat training camp a couple years ago and took my bokken with me, and I let those guys go nuts. And the only way they were able to break them was by smacking them as hard as they could with both arms into a palm tree. So as long as you are not swinging them as hard as you can to a palm tree, they should not break. Be right back. Now, the Viking Waster, however, is made out of red oak. Haven't been able to find a blank for my Viking Wasters that's made out of anything else except for oak and white ash, which I think sometime I may try to get some white ash to make these Viking Wasters, but for now, red oak seems to do the trick. What if you break it while committing a crime? Please don't commit crimes with my stuff. Just don't commit crimes in general. But no, please do not commit crimes. If you break it while committing a crime, I don't know you and you didn't get it from me. if you break one of my bouquet while committing a crime, we've never met. I don't even know who you are, man. Is that Tony? Of course it's Tony. What's up, Tony? Welcome back, man. It's always nice having you on here. You always make this fun. But no, please don't commit crimes, Tony. And don't commit crimes with my stuff. I already skirt the boundaries of legality with some of the stuff I make. Please don't commit crimes with my stuff. I have this fear because I make these crazy baseball bats. Matter of fact, one of the things I'm working on today is a custom bat order. It's a barbed wire bat. He wants a two-tone bat, black and gray with a neon green barbed wire. I always worry one of these days, like, there's going to be like some news story that comes up. Some dude went crazy and it's going to be him running down the street carrying one of my bats. You know? All right. Be right back. Let me put this in the dry room. Okay. Woot woot. Now, probably need a new rag. I'm hoping these steaks take the tongue oil like I expect them to. All right. Like I said, if you got any questions, preferably not crime-related questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. Why is this thing dropping on me? There we go. All right. Hold it over the catch-all. That's how that works. This was a piece that I got. I was helping a neighbor who had some trees down during Hurricane Ian, and I got this piece from that. And I think it's Osage, but I'm not entirely sure. That's why I didn't make anything else out of it, because I don't know exactly if it's Osage. It looks like Osage, but not 100% sure about that. So I'm selling it as a steak instead of as anything that could be used for impacts, because I honestly don't know. If you got any questions for me, stick those in the chat, and I will gladly answer them. This is also a piece that I got during a hurricane. I'm not sure if it was Ian or after, but this is southern live oak, pretty common here in Florida. So anytime there's a hurricane, I'm out there with an axe and a chainsaw, usually helping my neighbors with downed trees, because I live in a community of mostly people over the age of 65. So I I'm one of the only able-bodied people who knows how to run a chainsaw and axe in my neighborhood. So after every hurricane, I'm out there helping people with trees, and I try to harvest some wood while I'm out. It looks lighter than you remember. This oil, that shouldn't. This is tung oil. It's about the same. Matter of fact, it should be thicker than what I had, because I actually previously I found out I bought some knockoff tung oil. I'm not sure. I didn't even know that was a thing that existed, but apparently it is. So, and no, and I usually put a pretty thick coat on. For small stuff, I usually do one coat, but for big stuff like my Boken and my wasters, I do a double coat. Depending, sometimes if it's requested, I'll do a triple coat, just because it reinforces the wood, it penetrates the grain, and makes it stronger. And when it dries, when it oxidizes, it dries hard, so it's not oily once it dries. Now we got the Padauk. But no, it's tung oil should have kind of a golden color to it. And if it's been diluted slightly, which the Minwax one has already been diluted with mineral spirits, which you want to do because tung oil is very thick, and if you want it to penetrate the wood, you kind of got to make sure it's a little bit diluted usually. If it's 100% tung oil, which I will do on some stuff, if it's requested, I have 100% tung oil that I will use, but it takes a while. You kind of got to let it sit in that for a few minutes to make sure it penetrates the wood, and you kind of got to bathe it in that stuff. Now, this is a Padauk steak. I realized I hadn't made a vampire steak out of Padauk yet, so figured I might as well give it a shot. All right, let me stick this in the dry room. Actually, finding out that people were selling my steaks, as my modified steaks, as knockoff antique steaks gave me an idea. I'm probably going to do a video on how to spot, fake antique steaks and vampire kits, because I think there are a lot of them out there that are being sold. That are, what they do is they buy a bunch of stuff and assemble it and distress it, and then try to tell you it's antique when it is not in any way an antique. All right, I probably should have done this first because I gotta get these holes. You gotta oil the holes, you guys. You can't, if you don't oil the holes, the wood has a weak spot in the holes. It's very important. Always oil your holes. Oh yeah. That's stain. That's coming next, Tony. After I finish this one, I've got some stuff I'm going to be staining. That's the wood stain. That's dark brown. That'll be coming up next once I finish with this one. This one actually came out pretty nice. This is Padauk, and I'll be cording that up tomorrow morning. Which, by the way, as always, I do go live on Sunday mornings. About 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're awake at that ungodly hour, if you're on the West Coast, it's 4:30 a.m. your time. So you're either up really early or you're up very late. One of those two. All right, let me stick this in the dry room. Woot woot. All right, so that's all the tung oil stuff. Let me wipe this bad boy out. And no, tung oil is not exactly a stain. Like it's more of a treatment. staining wood, you know, kind of helps with preserving the wood, preserving the wood. Whereas tung oil is more about like strengthening and sealing the wood. Um, you know, it doesn't really. It sometimes will make the wood slightly darker, but it doesn't really change the color too much. All right, put this up and grab the stain. I'll be right back. I'm experimenting a bit this week because I've got some stuff that I'm kind of trying for the first time this week. Stuff that I was kind of putting off. I was planning on doing it when I got back from Texas because I've been beefing up the vampire steaks in my inventory ahead of spooky season, because when I get back, I'm going to be in Texas from June 20th to July 25th. So my shop will be closed June 20th to July 24th because I won't be in town to fill orders. I go to Texas every summer to hang out with my kids, and while they're on summer break, so that's where I will be. So the shop will be closed for about a month, starting on June 20th, and I'd stop taking custom orders on June 10th, but I will resume orders when I get back. Should be back on like the 25th or 26th, but the shop will be open on the 25th or 24th, so you can make orders because I'll be probably on my way back around that time. But usually when I get back from Texas, the weekend after that, I've got Tampa Comic Con, which if you're in the Tampa area and you go to Tampa Comic Con, I will be there this year. I don't know what panels I'm doing yet. That haven't been told. All I've been told is that I'm going. So no one's told me what panels I'm doing quite yet. So hopefully I will find that out in the near future. But we will see. And then right after Comic-Con, we go into September, and that is usually late August, early September is the start of spooky season for my shop, and I start selling vampire steaks and props and costume stuff really just like crazy starting in September. Not staining that. Okay, let me put this over here so I don't actually accidentally stain it, but I'm not supposed to. Bring this stuff over. All right. But welcome to Saturday Staining. If you just got here, I do this every Saturday. This is Warrior Wooden Props. It's basically just a shop where I make weird shit. So you're welcome to hang out. This is just, honestly, I mostly just do this for me because I find this part very boring. And having people to talk to makes me feel less weird than talking to empty space. All right. That over there. So I made a slightly larger poplar steak. I make a smaller version of this in my shop that's already up. But I had a longer cutoff and kind of figured I just wanted to see what a longer version of this would look like. Is this what you were talking about, Tony? This is the stuff you're talking about. This is oil-based Jacobian stain, because I think that's how you say it. I usually use this. I don't normally use this on practice weapons unless it's requested, which I have done for like custom bow staffs. I've had a few custom bow staff orders where they've wanted stain and they've wanted tung oil, which takes a very long time because you have to stain it and then you have to let it sit for days and days and days, sometimes about a week, for the stain to fully cure. Then you do the tung oil, and it can be difficult. But I normally only do stain on steaks and things that are going to be used for costumes. I use it on my vampire bats. It depends. And my Negan bats, I stain those with it's a honey maple stain. Which, by the way, if you ever want to make a Negan bat, The stain that they used to make the Lucille Negan bat was honey maple. So you can go buy honey maple stain your own bat, put some barbed wire on it, you're good to go. Putting the barbed wire on it, that's actually the hard part. That's the part. And when in my shop, a lot of times I get custom orders for barbed wire bats, and they want the barbed wire painted, which is a pain in the ass, by the way. Pain in the ass to paint barbed wire. Then I have to put the barbed wire on the bat and try not to scratch the paint on the bat with the paint on the barbed wire, which is not easy. This new bat is going to be especially difficult because he wants neon green barbed wire on a black and gray bat. Do you have any idea how hard it's going to be for me to not get neon green paint scratched into the black paint when I put that barbed wire on? Like, there's probably at least like a 60-40 chance I'm going to ruin this bat when I do that. But we're going to find out. We're going to learn today. And this will be a, when it's done, I've got some cross pieces here. This will actually be a tiny little cross stake. But I gotta stain these pieces first, and then tomorrow I'll epoxy them together, and I will put some metal staples in to hold everything in place. And it should look pretty cool. I've got a few different cross stakes designs on my shop, which, by the way, my shop, if you need to see it, find it, it's warriorwoodandprops.com, or you can go to eBay, just search Vampire Steak. Probably the first listing that comes up will be mine. If you search Vampire Steak on eBay, I sell probably the widest selection of vampire steaks you can find on eBay. So you can also go to my shop, warriorwoodandprops.com. However, the full inventory is not on that website right now because I'm having some issues with Shopify, and my plan is to probably move most of my inventory to eBay, or all of my inventory to eBay for the most part, and I'm just mostly going to use my website for big ticket items and for custom orders. So all right, put this up and then I'll do the cross pieces. And I got these tiny cross pieces. But if you got any questions for me, hit that chat. And I wouldn't say no to a like or a subscription. Or like or a subscribe. I know I'm supposed to say that. I forget almost every time to say that you should like and subscribe, because I'm not a good YouTuber. I am a terrible YouTuber because I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just a guy that makes weird shit and has a YouTube channel. Not really interested in making my living on YouTube. That does not sound like a pleasant existence to me. All right, I'm gonna go put these cross pieces up. All right, now we're going to find out if the scoring that I did on these daggers works the way I expect it to. So I figure there's probably a good chance this isn't going to work the way I think it's going to work, but we're going to find out now. Oh, look at that, it does. Excellent. Probably could have cut them a little deeper, but it's not bad. And these will get jute cord wrap on the handles tomorrow. Yeah, it actually doesn't look too bad. I know it's probably hard to see on camera, but the scores look a little darker when you put the stain on, so it looks scratched up. You know, it's funny, like one of the guys that resells my stuff as antiques, he even cracks the handles so they look like old. Do you have any idea how much work I put into those? And the guy turns around and cracks the handle? Are you kidding me, man? If you told me that, I would have spent way less time working on those. I sanded those bad boys up to like 3,000 grit. And he turned around and cracked the handle and distressed them to make them look old. If I had known he wanted them to look old, I could have spent a lot less time on those. But I will say what he did for the most part, I mean, I'm not thrilled with the handle crack thing, but I will say, like, it does look okay. It looks pretty cool. Like, it maybe showed up a little better on this one. Well, not really. But that's okay. First try. Normally I don't do this to these because they're very hard to make. And it almost hurts me a little bit to do this because, but there we go. But they do look cool. I'll give it that. It does look cool with the stain. These are American Hickory, by the way. I make these from repurposed American Hickory. I got a vendor that they break down pallets and resell the pallet wood. And I'm not quite sure how there are hickory pallets, but apparently there are. But they make great daggers. All right. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. Nice. Holy crap, I thought that was going to take me a lot longer. All right. Let me put this stuff up. Take these gloves off. Whew. There we go. That is it. Oh, I gotta. And of course, I always take the gloves off before I put the lid on and end up getting stain on my hands. There we go. Which is not good. I don't want to get stain on things that are not supposed to have stain on them. So, I clean my fingers off here. Well, if you got any questions, shove them in the chat. I'm getting ready to finish up here. I got this bad boy right here. This one's going to just go on the finishing table. I will cord up the handle on this tomorrow. But if you're awake at 7:30 in the morning, my Sunday finishing work lives go a little bit longer. My Saturday staining lives are usually only like a half an hour to an hour, but my Sunday ones usually go like an hour to 2 hours because cord wrapping takes a very long time. So if you're up at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays, come hang out with me. Help me be less bored. Because a person can only listen to music for so long before they go a little crazy trying to do monotonous stuff. If you got any questions for me as I am doing the final stuff here, please drop those in the chat. I will gladly answer them. I do have some long form videos that should be coming in the near future. I'm going to do one on how to take a really cheap Boken and make it not as horrible. I am using, let me show you guys what I'm using here. I bought the cheapest freaking Boken I could find. This Boken was $18. I have no idea what's under all this, but we're going to find out. I'm going to sand and treat this Boken so we can make it quite a bit stronger and more likely to last, because I know not everyone can afford really nice Boken. I know I couldn't when I was a kid. Luckily for me, I had a sensei who taught me how to take a cheap Boken and spruce it up so that it works really well. So I'll be doing a live form tutorial or a long form tutorial video on how to take a cheap ass Boken and turn it into a not so cheap ass Boken. I'm going to do another tutorial on how to properly stake a vampire, so that should be fun. Because I feel like movies and TV have given people the wrong idea about properly staking vampires. And if you don't stake them properly, they will come back. And you do not want that. And then I will also be doing one on how to spot fake antique vampire hunter kits. Because I didn't realize until recently that those were so prominent. Like, there are so many fake vampire hunter kits out there, like fake antique ones that people are trying to sell for thousands of dollars when they're definitely not antiques. And at the same time, I'm even more upset to find out that people are buying my shit and using it to sell knockoffs. That does not make me a happy man. I'm not happy about that. Just be honest about what you're selling. If it's a replica, call it a replica. Don't call it an antique just because you want to sell it for more money on eBay. I find that annoying. Oh, good gracious. Well, oh yeah, let me put away my shop towels here, and if you got any questions, shove them in the chat. I'll be right back. I just finished up for the day. But tomorrow morning should be interesting. I've got I got a bunch of stakes to cord wrap. I've got at least one Yawar to cord up, and then when I get done here on this live, I'm going to take this baseball bat and I've got to prime it. I'm going to paint this with primer, and then this week this will get painted. You can see where the line is right here. So this top part of the bat will be black. The bottom part of the bat will be silver, or not silver, gray, with a black handle, and it'll have neon green barbed wire. But anyway, I think that's it for me for this week on Saturday Standing. Thanks for hanging out with me as always. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. I will see you guys then for my Sunday finishing work. So yeah, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and I will answer them. But if not, I don't think we have any questions. So I'm gonna call it a day, go home, eat some lunch, play some Helldivers 2. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. for my Sunday finishing work live. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I'll see you later.